Hi everyone, Gary Colesill here, and you are in the right place. As you probably already know, I'm an agent with HomeSmart Realty. We're very privileged today to have Alec Apostolov from Swift Mortgage with us, who's going to talk about the age-old debate of buying versus renting. What is the best thing to do? I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by the things that Alex has to say here, actually. So, without much further ado, I'm going to turn you over to Alex. So, Alex, you have the floor. Take it away.
All right. Thank you very much, Gary. Like he said, my name is Alec with Swift Mortgage. We're based in Gilbert, Arizona, and I've been a mortgage broker for the past 2.5 years. Some say through some of the most slowest period in the history, basically second slowest in the mortgage industry. But as slow as it has been, things are actually moving. And today we want to talk. We wanted to talk with Gary to you guys about the, like he said, the age-old debate: buy versus rent. What is better to do? So this is a very, very interesting time because usually we have definitely way more benefits to buy than to rent. But lately, with the market being so high and coming down a bit, the prices, and with the interest rate being so high, we have reached a point where the monthly payment is actually kind of same, if not leaning towards the rental side. So many people are asking me, well, Alec, why would I even want to think about buying where I can actually rent a house, not worry about maintenance, for very similar amount of payment? And we are going to look into those numbers and try to explain them and see what happens in a year 1 to year 9. And basically, historically, here in Arizona, we have not had a period where we compare 10-year time frame where the price of a home has been lower in 10 years from any period. Even if we take 2008 and the height of the market in 2008 and compare it to home prices with 2018, if you bought in 2008, you will have appreciation in 2018. And that's supposedly the worst market we have ever had in 2008. So, and that doesn't happen quite often. So for our example here, I'm looking into Scottsdale area and an average price of around 800,000. Now, Gary, you are the expert in the area. Please let me know if we can find anything for this price in today's market. If a buyer comes in and I tell you, okay, we have pre-qualified him for a loan, can you find him something for this price that would be a family home, a single family residence with 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom?
Yeah, I can probably in most of the areas in the valley, actually. Scottsdale a bit harder,
Okay.
obviously, but you could still find a home for about 800,000. It really, the minimum, I think, to get something 3 bed, 2 bath, pretty nice in the valley would be probably about six, thereabouts at the moment, the way
Okay.
things are. But no, eight would definitely get you something. I could find you something for that.
Okay. Perfect. So let's look into how some numbers right here. An average rent, from what I hear in the Scottsdale area, it goes above 6,000. But let's say we can find something for about 5,500, like we're talking about a single home with 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and let's compare that with purchasing one. So uh, to get into a rental, as we know, we need the first month, 1 month security, and oftentimes another either half or a full month of payment, which gets you roughly around the $15,000 mark to get into a rental home. To purchase, you obviously need to come up with down payment, and we're going to talk about that a little later, about the options that we can offer on as loan officers, and look into what kind of a monthly payment will you be looking at. That would be our first comparison. So today's interest rate are running right around 6.5%. With excellent credit, you can get it even lower, and with maybe some rate buy down, or as we hear a lot these days, the sellers are willing to contribute towards bringing your interest rate lower. And they offer all kinds of programs like 2-1, where you basically lower your interest rate by 2 points for year number 1 and 1 point. When I say point, that is a percentage in the interest rate. So 1 point for the year number 2. And we're all hoping that 2 years from now, we're going to be looking into a lot lesser amount of interest rate so that you can refi and continue paying that lower amount. But for our example's sake, we're going to go if the seller is not offering anything, and you get the rate of 6.5 if you had average or a bit higher than average FICO score. So with 6.5, we're also looking to get a mortgage amount of $750,000, and the $50,000 is going to be your down payment. So, and like I said in the beginning, this is a strange point in time where actually the buyer to buy comes in at a little bit higher amount than to rent. And that is when we include maintenance, property taxes, insurance, and all that good stuff. So your home is fully insured, taxes are paid, and some maintenance and repairs included in this number. So what happens year number 1? Mostly, yes, you're paying a bit higher amount per month, but let's say we examine this on a longer run and see where do we stand in year number 1 and then year number 9. So year number 1, we're going to assume appreciation of your home at about a very conservative 3.95%, which is right around inflation right now. So usually when the home prices run together with inflation, we are said that we are at about a balanced market, which I hear from realtors, and correct me if I'm wrong, Gary, that we are right around a balanced market right now. It does not lean into the seller's favor. It does not really lean into the buyer's favor too much. And we are appreciating at about 3% per year. So here it is, year number 9, your estimated value of your home that you purchased today, January 24th, 2024, for $800,000 is estimated to be valued at $1,133,000 and some change there. By this time, you have paid off some of it, and you're still remaining out of the 750, you still have 650. So yes, at the beginning of your mortgage, the first 10 years, most of the payment goes towards interest. However, you're still paying off some of the principal. And by 9 years from now, you have paid off about $100,000. So let's make the math. 1.13 million minus 650, you're now standing at a good 400,000 plus of equity in your home. If you decide to sell, of course, the best practice would be to hire a good realtor like our host, Gary, to guide you to this process. And unfortunately, we've seen too many people trying to do this on their own and actually not getting the desired value and getting into all kinds of problems and lawsuits. So the best strategy out there would be to hire an experienced realtor in the area that will guide you to this process, and it will be well worth it. So that would be the 9-year comparison if we're talking about buying versus selling at an average home in Scottsdale at this point. So the next thing I really wanted to talk to you guys about is one very, very interesting point. I just recently talked to a veteran that was looking to, and exactly we got into this kind of talking whether he should rent or buy. Well, he told me, Alec, why would I even want to buy when I don't know that 2 years from now my job transfers me to a new place and then a new place? Doesn't it, you're talking 9 years here, and I'm not even sure if I'm going to be in the area for more than 2 years. So for me, it doesn't make sense to buy. Well, let's talk about it. Even at this appreciation rate, you're most likely not going to walk out with much of money in your pocket if you decide to sell. However, every year that you purchase a primary residence, let's say you buy one now, when you have exactly 1 year of residential status as a primary residence, you are allowed to purchase another property that's going to be your primary residence. It's called a departing purchase, and rent out your current purchase. And here we're projecting also a rise in rent. Rents are, as we know, keep going up, where your fixed rate stays always the same. So your $5,727 monthly payment is going to stay the same for the 30 years. Your rent is going to go up. And here we're estimating it to be at about $8,830 in 9 years from now. So by this next year, this veteran can actually rent out his home for let's say about $6,000 and still have some positive cash flow. And I've met a lot of mom and pop investors that have actually built up portfolio of homes with this strategy. Every year, they will renovate the home, purchase another one, move into the new home, rent out the old one. Perfectly legal. And you end up with 10, 15 homes that are cash flowing. You're good to retire. I have yet to meet a renter that is ready to retire out of his rental property. It just doesn't happen. So that's the next positive that we have in this debate. And after our conversation, our veteran friend did and actually ended up buying a home. So that's the thing that I wanted to share with you. Now, you're saying, Alec, how do I come up with $50,000 for a down payment, right? Like with this inflation, with its prices out there, with gasoline being so high, it's just so hard to save anything. And I completely understand that. And that's going to take me to our next slide here that I would like to share with you. And this is a program that we are running that is a down payment assistance program. Right. And we're going to take any questions at the end of my presentation here. I would love to hear if there's any questions at all, but let's talk about this down payment assistance real quick. What is it and what does it do? Down payment assistance program is designed exactly for people that need help with their down payment. Usually we know that we put about 5% in down payment funds, but there are programs out there that can get you in a house for 3%, 3.5%, even down to 1%. And as we all know, the veteran loans can get you 100% of financing. This exact program that I kind of wanted to share with you guys is available in all 49 states except for Washington State, and it offers anywhere between 2 and 3.5%. Now, it's actually a choice. There's really no qualification that will knock you down to 2 or get you up to 3.5. It's actually your choice. So if you choose to go with 3.5%, that's fine. This is basically a grant. This grant is forgivable from day number 1. So if you get into a house and the next day you hear the dog barking all night long and you say, well, I don't want this house, I want to sell, you want to get out of it, you don't have to repay this. So it goes into the house. It can go up to 6% with seller concessions. Now, this is a question that I have for you, Gary. Are you seeing sellers open to concessions these days on the market out there?
Yeah, it seems to be, I wouldn't say the norm, but it's fairly common. Yes, no,
Okay.
absolutely. I did a deal recently where there were quite major silicon concessions. I mean, the price didn't change, but yeah,
Okay.
that's definitely a consideration. It's
Excellent.
something we always look at.
Right. So if we see a home that's been sitting on the market for some time, the seller is getting kind of desperate, they are willing to either drop the price or contribute towards your purchase. If you are somebody that needs a bit of a kick to purchase a home, it's actually much better to ask the seller for either a buy down of the rate or help you out with the closing cost rather than lowering the price. So a seller that is already thinking about lowering it by $10,000-$20,000 may think that, okay, work with you, let me work with this buyer and make it happen for them, so they can contribute another 2.5%. Now this loan will limit it to up to 6% of seller concessions. So we can see how, if the seller does agree to that, and you do get the 3.5% towards your down payment, the grant that we're offering, you can get into a home for hopefully less than get into a rental. And here's the parameters of this program. It is a 30 years fixed loan. You can use it for a 1 or 2 unit primary residence. What that means is that you can also look into duplexes. So if it's a duplex, you can actually start earning from day number 1 if you live in the other side of the duplex. You cannot purchase it as an investment property. You have to live into one property, have it as your primary residence, and rent out the other part of it, which is a very, very good way to have somebody help you pay your mortgage, basically. And a lot of times they cover almost all of it. The maximum limit, basically it's 96.5 out of the purchase amount. So in that example we saw earlier, $800,000, we cannot finance the full 800,000, but we can finance 96.5% of it. Your DTI is your debt to income ratio. The maximum DTI allowed is 48.99%, which basically means 49.99, almost 55% of your income is allowed to go towards your housing expenses. It is FHA approved, so you can come in and do it with an FHA loan as well. This is more of a loan officer jargon. Basically, there's like automated underwriting system that we have to feed with all your docs, and then it let us know whether you're approved or not. So we do need it to get you approved, but for as long as this is the number and all your docs are in row, this is not an issue at all. Who is eligible for this program? Well, this is a program that is designed to cover as many people as possible that may need help in purchasing a home. So for one, a first-time home buyer. What is a first-time home buyer? It doesn't mean you did not ever purchase a home. It means you did not purchase or you did not own a home in the last 3 years. So if that's the case, you are eligible. Let's say you did purchase a home, but you are a current or retired employed as a military teacher, public servant, all that applies. Income wise, if you fall under the average medium income in your zip code, you qualify. And that is also covering underserved census tract if your area is within such tract. And I can happily share links with you that's going to let you know if your area is within this underserved census tract or not. Okay, so like we said, the first-time home buyer is any borrower that has basically not owned a home in the last 3 years. It's purchasing it for his primary residence. He's going to occupy this house, live in it, and has no ownership interest in another residential property within those 3 years. You can also purchase for your parent. If you have a parent that cannot qualify, you can purchase it for them as a primary residence, or you can have it as a joint residency, because we know that most of the times parents would like to leave their estate to the children. You can go there as joint tenants and then inherit this property when the inevitable happens. The current retired employment. So let's see who is qualifying under this. So let's say you already own a home, but you are a military personnel, you're a first responder, educator, medical personnel, or a civil servant. Any of these will get you qualified and eligible for this program. Of course, the other things need to be there, that your FICO score needs to be above 620, and your debt to income ratio needs to be there as well. Let's talk about it. Income. I will share this income with you guys, this link. This is basically going to show the average median income for your area. And as long as you're not surpassing this, you are qualifying for this program. Same here, underserved census tract, we can look into the areas. I know for my zip code doesn't qualify, but there's quite a lot of zip codes out there that will qualify. So if you're not a military personnel, if you don't get to qualify under any of the other items we mentioned, you still may qualify under this one. And basically that is it. I don't want to go into too many details. I know we are here to learn about possible ways to purchase a home these days. I kind of want to get back to Gary and see if there's any questions out there. Did we get any at this point, Gary?
Let's have a look.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions at all they'd like to ask Alec before we wrap up? I've actually got one for you. That sounds like a really good program. Actually, I like that a lot, and I'm sure that it'd be a great program for people that are renting at the moment.
Correct.
But what is there a maximum? There must be a maximum loan on that. I know that all the other programs have limits. Is there? What is the limit on that?
The limit on this program would be 762,700.
Oh, okay, it's quite high. Yeah, okay.
It is pretty high, yes.
Yeah.
So we can basically use it for any average home in the valley here in Maricopa, yes. Like we talked earlier. So yeah, it will go with the conforming standard of loan. Anything above that is going to become a jumbo loan.
All right. Presuming that the buyer is properly qualified, how long would it normally take you to close something like that? Was that a normal day, kind of 30 close obviously without problems? But what would you expect it to take?
Correct. This one, it would absolutely not differ than any regular loan you may be taking. So 30 years, it's 30 days. I'm sorry, it's quite reasonable to get the home closed from the point you get under contract until you get the keys in your hand. Yes.
Okay. No, that sounds excellent. Yeah. And you may very well want to give out your contact information for people that want to learn more about that. I can
absolutely.
I can type it into the chat box for you.
That would be great. If anyone wants to give me a call, I can be reached at 480-382-2870. And of course, if you guys have any questions regarding purchasing a home, what would it take? How would it work? Basically, once we know that once we have this conversation, and we know that you are a good candidate, Gary will pretty much show you around, let you know what's available. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
I will put my number in the chat box too. There you have both their numbers. Just check that they're correct. Oh, I
yes.
think I missed yours up, Alex. Actually, let's do that again. All right,
Yeah.
480 382, wasn't it?
480
Yep.
382
Yep.
2870.
2870. Got fat fingers. 2870. There you go. I got a zero there.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you everybody for joining us today. Thank you, Ali. That was very informative. That sounds like an excellent program. And we will be making the recording of this available as well. So if anybody wants it, they can shoot me over an email, and I'll put my email in there as well.
Okay.
Because I'm a
And
very
just
slow typer, so there we you can. Do you want to add anything while I'm typing this out?
no, I have not. I just had a quick question for you, Gary. If
Sure.
a person is looking to purchase these days, what is the inventory situation like? Is it increasing? Is it falling? Is it above average? Below?
It's yeah, it's quite tight, but that has there's an advantage at the moment to buying a house. I know people think, oh, it's a terrible time to buy. It's actually not,
Right.
because even though there's not as many properties around as there were,
Mhm.
remember that this is the hopefully anyway, this is maybe the quiet before the storm. Chances are interest rates will go down, and when they do, there'll be more activity in the market, and prices may well go up because of that.
Right.
And there'll be more buyers in the market. So we'll be back to a similar situation that we had a couple of years ago, where you're competing against, half a dozen other offers on a home. So even though the property market's a bit tight at the moment, you don't have the competition so much from other buyers at the moment because of the situation, but you will have in a few months' time,
Right.
probably. I mean, that's always conjecture, of course, because we never quite know what happens, and yeah, but that
Right.
looks like the direction it's going in. So yeah, even though it's a tight market, it's not necessarily bad for a buyer.
I agree. That's what we're hearing also on the mortgage side. We should continue to see interest rate lowering, which in return spurs buyer activity. We're
Right, it
already
does.
seeing it quite a lot since the rate started dropping about almost like a month ago. The refinances are starting to happen, and the purchase activity, the purchase applications we're taking have jumped up for at least 10%, if not more.
Right.
So we are definitely expecting more activities come March, April on the market. And like you said, I wouldn't be surprised if we see multiple offers coming back. And I hear from other realtors that there are actually some properties that are priced reasonably are already experiencing multiple offers.
Right.
So I must agree with you that right now is a perfect time to start looking if you're thinking. And what I want to also throw out there, that this program that I'm talking about does come with a tiny bit of a higher interest rate, meaning that right now for the next 6 months, you could be paying a tiny bit more than if you take a regular loan. But the beauty of it is that after you sit on it for 6 months, you're eligible for a streamlined refinance, which means you don't need an appraisal. You don't need to show us any docs. You just need to raise your hand and say, I would like to refinance this purchase of mine. And by then, if we're back to the 5% rates and you refinance, your payment is going to go lower than that 5,700 we were talking about earlier. So in my view, this is basically one of the best times you can start looking to purchase and looking at properties, and start basically help me with this, Gary. Buyers go through a process when they purchase, right? Like, it's not like, okay, let's buy a house. They see a house and they buy it, right?
Right.
There's a bit of a process
They look
that,
at a few usually. Yeah. I mean, I just recently worked on a transaction with a buyer. It was, you know, the buyer was great. I mean, no problems there, but couldn't quite find the house that he was looking for, and we actually showed him 20, which is quite high actually. But so
right.
yeah, there is, and every day what we did was we basically went out, looked at them, and scored them out of 10 until we got a couple of 8s, and then it was like there was decision time basically. But yeah, it's a process. It can take a while. We are fortunate nowadays, of course, with the internet, in that a lot of buyers can get a really good idea of what they want, obviously from the internet, and narrow it down.
Right.
So usually not quite as much going out and looking at stuff. A lot of stuff gets eliminated, by using the internet first, which is
Right.
good
Helpful,
for us. Helpful,
right.
yes, absolutely.
Yes. Okay. Well, Gary, thank you very much for the opportunity to be a panelist in your webinar here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you very much for agreeing to talk today. That was very interesting and informative. I'm sure it will help lots of people. So
Thank you.
with that, thank you everyone for being here today, and thank you, Alex. We're going to sign off now. And as I say, if anybody wants to contact us, our numbers are on the screen. And there we go. We're going to stop recording now.